Something I like to do every year is just basically hold myself accountable, or at least see if I'm on the right track or the wrong track with any of my draft grades, something I do right after the NBA draft concludes. So today, I wanted to react to my 2025 NBA draft grades now that pretty much everybody's rookie year is almost over. And yeah, I do have a different setup for this video. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to happen on Tuesday for my post-national championship mock draft, so make sure you are subscribed. But yeah, I'd just like to see how much maybe a year has changed, right? You could go back to like the 2022 draft. If I reacted after a year and I gave Dyson Daniels an F, I would have looked like a pretty smart person because Dyson Daniels didn't really get off to the greatest start in his career. But if I reacted to those draft grades 3 years later, I would look like a fool because that has definitely been like an A grade so far. So a lot of this can change. I'm going to react to these down the line as well. If you want to see me react to any of my other draft grades as well, it could be 2024, 3, 2, 1. I believe I did 2020. I don't think I did 2019, but I know I did 2018. You can let me know by dropping a thumbs up on this video or let me know in the comments below, and let's get into this. You guys enjoyed the live stream. We had over 10,000 people in the stream at one point. I will be live streaming for the second round tonight as well, so make sure you check that out. And I posted a reaction to every single pick in a compilation video yesterday. You could go check that out as well to give my initial reaction to each pick. So we'll start off with the number 1 overall pick. The Dallas Mavericks selected Cooper Flagg out of Duke. We knew this pick all year long. Whoever won the draft lottery was going to select Cooper Flagg, number 1 overall. I'm giving it an A. Hey, Nico Harrison didn't do anything crazy, right? He didn't take Dylan Harper. He didn't take Ace Billy, number 1. He took Cooper Flagg, who's going to inherit one of the best rosters a rookie can inherit. He's going to try to be the 5th rookie to make the playoffs as a number 1 overall pick in the 21st century. Bargnani did it, Bogut did it, Rose did it, Marco Fultz did it, and Cooper Flagg could do it because he's going to a team with Anthony Davis, with Kyrie Irving, with cap space to sign a mid-level guy this summer, Max Christie, Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, Derik Lively, Daniel Gafford. This team is so deep. And Cooper Flagg, I've said it all year long, a true two-way elite prospect. He's a defensive playmaker out of the gate. He could be a 3-level scorer at the NBA level. The biggest question mark going into Duke from Montverde was the 3-point shot. The form was fine enough. He shot 38% from 3. He was a great free throw shooter. This is an A pick. They made the right decision. It was very hard to mess this one up. All right, well, the Dallas Mavericks did not make the playoffs this year, so that trend does not continue for at least Cooper Flagg joining those guys. I talked about how deep their roster was, and man, it got ugly quick because of mostly injuries that happened where PJ was hurt at the beginning of the year. Lively, once again, AD hurt, traded. Kyrie was hurt, and they were bad, so he doesn't even come back. And yeah, they didn't use a mid-level exception on anybody good. It was D'Angelo Russell, who they kind of salary dumped in the Anthony Davis trade, but it was hard to not give that pick an A. It was easy. He was always my number 1 prospect for the draft, and they selected him. 3-level score, we'll see. I think Cooper Flagg has done great around the rim this year. He's done great with the mid-range. The 3-point shot is going to still be a deciding factor if he's going to, I think, average close to 30 points per game one day. But he is such a freak athlete. He may win Rookie of the Year. He may not. It's going to come down between him and Kon Knueppel over the final week or so of the NBA regular season. But yeah, we're not watching Cooper Flagg in the playoffs, at least not this year. Thing here with the number 2 overall pick, the San Antonio Spurs ended up with Dylan Harper, the combo guard coming out of Rutgers University, somebody that's going to be going to an environment that doesn't really need a top-end talent. The Spurs ended up getting lucky in the lottery. They don't need a guard as well. They have Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox. I still have to give this pick an A, though. Dylan Harper, in my opinion, is closer to Cooper Flagg as a prospect than he is to the 3rd-ranked guy to anybody here in this class. He could be a 3-level scorer at the NBA level. He has the size to score in multiple different ways as well. And he had a true shooting percentage above 70% at the rim last year at Rutgers, which is equivalent to somebody like Khaman Maluach, who's a one-dimensional big. So Dylan Harper is going to be a great scorer out of the gate, and I would not be surprised if he's the most valuable and the best guard on the Spurs team by the end of his rookie contract. And then, all right, definitely a hot take. To be honest, though, I feel good about that still. I also was not as high on Stephon Castle in year number 2. Definitely does not look like a good take for me there. But Dylan Harper has shown great flashes in year number 1. I think he actually should end up on an all-rookie first team because I do appreciate, even though he's not averaging like 15 a night and he's not having some great like box score numbers like a Maxime Reynaud or an Ace Bailey at this point in the year, he's impacting a top 2 team in the NBA, coming off the bench, like slowing down the offense, finding guys in the corner, attacking the rim. I've actually liked the defensive tape from Harper this year. A big thing was him was like the 3-point shot, how consistent will be at the NBA level, but whenever we get to watch him actually take 15 shots a night consistently one day, he's going to average over 20 points per game. I can guarantee you that. So we'll see if like how many of Fox, him and Castle are on this team in 5 years. You'd have to think maybe they build the team around Castle and Harper long term, and Fox is kind of like the win now guy. But when they eventually have to pay Wemby, Castle, and Harper, Fox is the guy that gets eased out. But we're still ways away from that. Harper looks phenomenal in year one. And here was one that could go either way. The draft started at 3. The Philadelphia 76ers selected VJ Edgecombe. I'm going to give this pick an A-. Edgecombe is still going to be an interesting fit in Philadelphia. He's my 3rd ranked player in this class. You would have liked if he had a little bit more size to be there in Philly, because he's somebody that's very similar to maybe a Tyrese Maxey, McCain, Quentin Grimes, and he doesn't move as well off the ball as those guys. It's funny too, because McCain not on the team, Grimes might not be on the team going forward, and he's easily like a great long-term backcourt fit next to Maxey for the next 10 years. But they're going to be able to space the floor for VJ. He needs to get better finishing at the rim, but he's one of the best athletes in this class. I thought Daryl Morey was just going to say F it and take Ace Bailey with the 3rd overall pick. Remember that? Like Sharif Cooper's dad, I think Omar Cooper or whatever his name was. Yeah, like Ace Bailey was not going to work out specific teams. He wanted to go to a destination. I don't know if that's been like confirmed where he wanted to go. Like, was it DC? Was it Brooklyn, and fall all the way to the end of the first or the top 10? We may never know, but it was really weird. It wasn't that long ago where he was like skipping workouts to Philadelphia, didn't want to really go to Utah. And Danny Ainge, not Daryl Morey, was the one that said F it. But I think they still took an incredible talent, and I hope they are patient with him in the long term. It seems like he wanted to go to Philadelphia, and they got somebody that actually wanted to be there. So I'm going to give it an A-. It wasn't a Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper type pick. It wasn't super easy to make this selection as well. And Daryl Morey and the Sixers fan base are really hoping this one works out long term. With the 4th overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets ended up selecting Kon Knueppel out of Duke. Kon Knueppel, my 4th ranked prospect in this class. I would have loved VJ Edgecombe in Charlotte. That probably would have got an A+ or an A grade for me. I'm still going to give Kon Knueppel an A-. They took a home run swing last year in Tidjane Salaam with that number 6th overall pick. He didn't really have the best rookie year, so they took somebody with a higher floor, maybe a lower ceiling than the 2 players that went after him in Kon Knueppel, but I got to give this pick an A- as well. He's the best shooter in this class. He can play off of 2 feet. He has high basketball IQ. He can get his teammates involved. He isn't going to have the center that was there last year, because we'll get to that later on. They traded away Mark Williams, but he's going to get the chance to play off of LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. He can throw lobs to whoever the center is. He could be your backup point guard in a pinch. He's not going to make dumb turnovers. He's not going to make silly mistakes out there, and he's going to be locked in on every single play. He's going to stay in the state of North Carolina, going from Durham in North Carolina to Charlotte. And I really like this pick for Charlotte. Yeah, you could have taken somebody with a little bit more upside who went 5, who went 6, but I think Knueppel is going to be a really good player in the NBA. And then, yeah, I mean, like, that's an A+. Kon Knueppel has been arguably the best rookie this year, and I think he's going to win, and I think deserves Rookie of the Year. I still like Cooper Flagg ceiling long-term. Definitely Dylan Harper ceiling long-term. Edgecombe, we can, I think, start to have the debate, but I definitely like Kon, I think, more long-term than Bailey, which we'll get to in a second, and definitely Trey Johnson. But Kon, my scouting report, basically, not a lot of weaknesses. Yeah, he's not going to be, I think, a 30-point per game scorer. I don't think he was going to be a perennial All-NBA guy, but not a lot of people, maybe even Charlotte, did not think he was going to be this good in his rookie season. So I was very complimentary of clearly the top 5 picks in the draft, because I really did like the fit for Ace Bailey in Utah, which we're about to get to. But Kon, I guess retrospective, A+, and I'm really intrigued to see how he looks long-term in Charlotte. Like, is there another level, or is he just going to be this guy consistently? Like, averaging, what is he, like, around 19, 20 points per game on elite shooting as a rookie is unheard of. So I wonder, yeah, could he actually average 25 one day? We'll see. Here's a little bit of a shocker, right? This is where we were all asking, could Ace Bailey go to the Jazz? He didn't work out there. It seemed like he really wanted to go to Washington at 6 or Brooklyn at 8. And Danny Ainge, his son Asa Newell, they said, F it. We are taking Ace Bailey. We do not care if you didn't want to be here. We believe you are the best player on the board, and we wanted to select you. Now, I had Trey Johnson ranked 1 spot ahead of Ace Bailey, but they're very close for me. And honestly, the balls that Utah had to make this pick, I'm giving it an A. I loved it. If you watched the stream, I was very happy that Utah made this selection. I'm a big fan of Will Hardy. I'm a big fan of what they're building in the front office. And over the last 2 years, they didn't get one of those top guys, right? They won too many games in 2023, missed out on Brandon Miller, Amen Thompson, or Wemby. They won too many games in 2024. They ended up with Cody Williams. Now they got handed a great opportunity to get somebody they still would have thought was a top player in this class not too long ago. After the lottery, we thought Ace Bailey was going to be number 2 or number 3 in this class, and they got him at number 5. and I really like the fit in Utah. I've been saying that's one of the best fits for Ace all year long. I would have liked this fit a lot better in Utah than in Philadelphia or Charlotte. So I'm giving this an A. This is one of my favorite picks from the top 10. I'm very indifferent on Ace Bailey as a prospect. He was my 6th ranked guy, but I do believe this is going to be one of the best chances for Ace Bailey to reach his star potential, which he definitely has in this league. And I'm very intrigued to see how this one works out. Yeah, so I was glad he ended up in Utah. Like, I did not like the fit in Charlotte. I did not really like the fit in Philadelphia, but I wonder how that would have gone this year. I don't think it would have gone as well as VJ did. I would have liked Utah or Brooklyn, and he ended up in Utah. Ace has been a top 5-6 rookie in the month of March. Got to be a little, cautious about the month of March. I call it Mickey Mouse March for a reason, because guys are out more than they normally are. You're going up against more G Leaguers than you normally are. And I have no idea his role next year, because when I'm reacting to these grades a year from now, what if AJ Devonta gets drafted to Utah? Where's Ace Bailey's fit after they had Jaren Jackson Jr.? Keontae George has exploded as a top scoring weapon for this team. Is there going to be double-digit shot opportunities for Ace Bailey next year? I have no clue. I think he's made good strides as a passer. I think there's been good defense when he's not been the number one option scoring wise, but he kind of has been since the Jazz have been tanking. So we'll see, because a lot of this can change after the draft lottery if they do land Boozer, Devonta in the front court, even Darren Peterson. Is if they take Darren Peterson, is it Keontae Peterson, Markin, and Jackson Jr. and Kessler, and Ace is a backup? How does he work coming off the bench going forward? Is he going to be a 6th man? We're going to have to wait and see. Jazz fans, let me know in the comments how you feel about this, because this feels like it's a different prospect here than what Taylor Hendricks was 2 years ago and Cody Williams last year. So that left Washington at number 6. I really thought Ace was going to be a Wizard. It did feel like all signs were pointing to that happening on the night of the draft, but Ace goes 5. So they pivot to get the next best player on the board, in my opinion, the 5th best prospect in this class, in Trey Johnson. I'm going to be giving this an A for Washington as well. They didn't overthink this one. They didn't take somebody like a Derik Queen or a Khaman Maluach or even a Jeremiah Fears with the selection. They got one of the best shooters in this draft, up there with Kon Knueppel. I do worry about the defense a little bit. I worry about the fit out there with Bub Carrington or CJ McCollum, but I do think Trey Johnson is going to be a phenomenal player in Washington, and I wouldn't be surprised if he scores the most points out of any of the young guys next year over Bilal, Sar, or Bub Carrington, because Trey Johnson can be a true shooter out of the gate from day one, and he moves so well without the ball in his hands. So it's unfortunate too, because the Wizards have been tanking for feels like forever now, and Johnson did have, I think, a pretty serious hip injury earlier in the year, but has he made great strides in year number 1? We'll see. Another team, if this team adds Devonta or Peterson, what is his fit and role next year? They add Trae Young, they add Anthony Davis. I'm not sure if there's going to be double-digit shot opportunities either for Trey Johnson next year, and there definitely won't be if they land a top 30 pick in the draft. I don't know. Sometimes, when I'm watching the Wizards tank, it's the times Trey Johnson would have momentum in a game and it's he doesn't play the fourth quarter. I wonder if there's a long-term effect on that, right? Where you get out of your rhythm, you don't know what it feels like to go for 20, to go for 25, to go for 30, and just be in a clutch situation with the ball in your hands. And when they're trying to lose, they're going to play guys like Anthony Gill over him or Wiki Black over him going forward. It's been more of an up and down rookie year. Like I said, I was very complimentary of these first 6 picks in the draft, but this could all change going forward. I was also very high on the top 6. If you watch my 2024, 2023 draft grades, that was not the case. That allowed Jeremiah Fears to be selected by the Pelicans at number 7. They did trade for Jordan Poole the other day. They have Jose Alvarado and DeJounte Murray on their roster right now. I'm giving this pick a B-. I did have Jeremiah Fears ranked as my 11th best prospect in this class. I had somebody that's a point guard that went a lot later in this draft for some reason over Jeremiah Fears, and I do think he's a small guard. I worry about the development, and I don't love what New Orleans is currently building. He's going into a locker room where the veterans are Hurt DeJounte Murray, Jordan Poole, and Zion Williamson. Maybe not the veteran leadership that you want when you're a very young point guard prospect trying to grow. Willie Green could get fired in a year from now. They have a new general manager in Joe Dumars. It does feel like it's somewhat of a dysfunctional organization right now because of ownership. I'm giving this pick a B-. I don't feel like this is the best chance for Jeremiah Fears to grow. I would have liked him a little bit more in Washington and a lot more in Brooklyn. And so you can make an argument Fears has been better than Ace Bailey and Trey Johnson and maybe even Dylan Harper in year number 1. I still have question marks about Fears at his highest ceiling and what his full-on potential could be, because the defense has not looked great. There's some defensive plays, when I watched him play the Knicks the other week, he is diving for loose balls. He's picking guys' pocket on the perimeter, and he can run very well in transition. He's been a lot better around the rim, and he feels like he wants to instigate a fight with everybody, really playing into the zero fears mantra. I don't know how this looks in 3 years, right? Like, is he going to be around 43, 44% from the field? How is the three-point shot going to develop? Can he be a non-liability defensively if New Orleans is ever going to be a playoff contender in the next few years? Those are still the big question marks going forward. Obviously, like year one, when I grade everybody's rookie season, this might get an A, but B- is how I think like the long-term appeal is going to be in New Orleans, which I think the jury's still out on, but right now it's looking more good than bad. That allowed for my first whoa of the NBA draft, where Egor Demin, my 22nd ranked prospect, I had him mock 13 to the Atlanta Hawks. He goes 8 to the Brooklyn Nets. And this is going to start a wild trend of Brooklyn Nets picks because they kept 5 of them. A 6th of this video is grading the Brooklyn Nets NBA draft. I'm giving this a C. It's one of my lowest picks so far. Egor Demin is a complete wild card. He ended up shooting 37% from the field, 22% from 3, and 72% from the free throw line over his final 28 games. So basically the start of conference play, conference tournament play, and the March Madness tournament. So against the best opponents. Because if you look at BYU's non-conference schedule, it is playing like high schoolers or middle schoolers, essentially, to what BYU has talent-wise. And Demin could not hit a shot whatsoever. I don't think he's as twitchy with the ball in his hands. Now, he's a phenomenal passer. He's got great court vision for somebody at his size at 6'9". The Nets are really banking on his shot developing. And if you look at the trend of Nets picks here, they are head scratchers. So I got to give this pick a C. I thought there was 6, 7, 8 guys they could have taken here. I would have liked Kasparas, Jakucionis, Carter Bryant, Khaman, Maluach. Even if they took Derik Queen here, I could see that vision. So at number 9, yeah, I was lower on it. I was definitely skeptical about his role at the NBA level, and I still am unsure if he's going to be like a long-term one or he's kind of like an off-ball shooter. He's been great as a shooter this year. Unfortunately, his season was cut short, and unfortunately, the Nets were very bad this year, so you never really got to see him in like a consistent winning environment. So I was lower on it. I look wrong right there, and Egor clearly killed his workout with Sean Marks in that front office, which warranted him going in the top 8, which was, like I said, very shocking at that time. I'm just wondering what he's going to be, because he still didn't shoot great from 2 this year, but he also didn't take a ton of 2s. He took a ton of 3s. I thought he could have ended up in like the 3-point contest as a rookie. Like, he was that good out of the gate, and I wonder how he looks next year with like their inevitable top 6 pick. Toronto took Collin Murray-Boyles. I'm going to give this one a B. It was a little bit of a shocker when it happened. I felt like this was either going to be Khaman Maluach or Carter Bryant. Those guys screamed Masai Ujiri prospects, but they took Collin Murray. And then Masai Ujiri got like fired the next day or something. Boyles, who has a massive swing skill. If he could be a league average shooter, he could be a top 10 player in this class because he's an NBA level defender. He's super strong and physical. He has phenomenal court vision out of the post, and he can score inside. The Raptors were one of the worst teams scoring in the paint last year, so I see the need for Collin Murray-Boyles. I would have preferred Khaman Maluach or Carter Bryant on the board for them. That's why I'm giving it a B, but I still think Murray-Boyles can be a good player in Toronto. It's a deep team with young talent right now, given they had Walter, Mobo, and Shed from last year's draft. Grady Dick and Ochai Agbaji on this team as well, still trying to develop. But a lot of those guys have not worked out in year number 2 or year number 3, but I definitely look wrong there. I mean, I think at his like lowest percentile outcome, like he's still a top 25 defender in the sport and is going to be, and he is so physical and like contact careless in a way. Like, he doesn't care if you're going to throw 2 hands at him. He doesn't care who's trying to contest his shot. Like, he's going to go right at you in the paint, which I love. And I do think he's going to be a super safe prospect one day. I would be shocked if Murray-Boyles made an all-star team in his career. Like, I could see it happening, but I think I should have been a little bit higher on that pick there. The overall pick, the Phoenix Suns got Khaman Maluach. Now, they also made a trade simultaneously with this happening, which was kind of like, whoa, the Phoenix Suns are making moves. They traded pick 29 and a bad swap, like not really a great draft pick in 2029. It's a least favorable first between Cleveland, Utah, and Minnesota. There's a good chance at least one of those teams can be really good then, and you get that pick. You get the worst one out of the 3 for Mark Williams. So they added Mark Williams in the trade market, and they draft Khaman Maluach, the consensus best center in this class. I have to give this an A. This team had horrible, probably the worst center play last year. Their fans had to watch Mason Plumlee and Yusuf Nurkic at one point. And now they have Mark Williams and Khaman Maluach. So everything considered, this is easy an A. I loved what Phoenix did on the night of the 2025 draft, which is a breath of fresh air given how dysfunctional they've been over the last year or so. Then I kind of knew that this was going to be a longer term play. We didn't really see Khaman get meaningful minutes until Mark Williams got hurt. I think there's been great flashes. It's still more of like a long-term wait and see for Khaman, but I'm glad they added Mark Williams and Khaman, and Iguodala has been great in year 2, and the center rotation in Phoenix is so much better. At 11, Memphis decided to trade up. They traded a future Orlando first-round pick they got in the Desmond Bane deal and some seconds to get Cedric Coward out of Washington State. a major draft riser. He played at Division 3 a few years ago, 2 years at Eastern Washington, and just 6 games at Washington State, but he was dominant in those 6 games. And him getting a season-ending injury in that 6th game actually helped out his draft stock. He killed workouts, and I really think Zach Khaman and the analytical way they think over there in Memphis is going to be a match made in heaven for Cedric Howard. Him, Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams, and Jalen Wells on the perimeter next year is very exciting in Memphis, and I think he could be a great complementary 2-guard to Ja Morant going forward. I'm going to give this pick a B+. I'm a big fan of it in Memphis. And I wish I was a little higher on it, but he's been great in year number 1. Probably not going to be a complementary piece to Ja. It's going to be somebody else. And the Chicago Bulls decided to take Noa Essengue from Ratio Farm here at 12. I'm giving this a C+. I did have Essengue around this range on my big board. I do not like the fit in Chicago. They didn't really work him out. He left his team in the German finals to come over and attend the NBA draft, which I don't really have a major problem with, but he didn't have a formal workout with the Bulls. He apparently had a secret workout with the Toronto Raptors. He's somebody that also needs to develop a shot. He needs to get stronger, needs to get more physical. I would have liked if he ended up in like an OKC or a Minnesota where he would have had time to develop. He's going to be thrown into the fire in Chicago for a team that wants to half win, half lose every single year. I'm giving it a C+. Derik Queen I thought would have been a little bit more exciting. Carter Bryant was still on the board. It's a big whiff there by Chicago, in my opinion. And then
it's unfair, though. He only played like 2 games this year. We'll see how he looks next year.
13 here, the New Orleans Pelicans made a head-scratching trade. They traded away the swap S between Milwaukee and New Orleans in 2026 to Atlanta to move up from 23 to 13. What if Milwaukee trades out? What if Milwaukee is just bad next year? What if you are bad next year and you gave that pick to Atlanta for Derik Queen? I think Derik Queen is a fascinating prospect. I had a tough job evaluating him. I was a little bit lower on him than the consensus. I'm not a big buyer in the shot or the defense whatsoever. What's his fit in New Orleans? I'd rather Derik Queen go to Portland, rather him go to San Antonio, rather him go to Chicago than New Orleans, because I talked about the dysfunctionality with that franchise when I talked about Jeremiah Fears. What's his fit? Is Zion going to be the point guard? Is Zion going to be the power forward? Queen can't shoot. You can't play him out there with Yves Missi. I just feel like weird talent out with weird talent, and it's just not going to gel whatsoever. And I feel like they're going to be in a rude awakening for the 2026 season. I was not a big fan of the Pelicans draft. It's exciting on paper. I just don't think it fits very well.
I guess I wasn't wrong with that take. Damn, it's crazy that they were in for a rude awakening. It sucks DeJounte like missed the first half of the season. It's weird too, because like both Fears and Queen might actually make an all-rookie team, but I don't feel great about their long-term future, especially if that pick turns into the top 4. Oh my God. The lottery really does affect that grade a ton, like this year's lottery.
Carter Bryant goes 14 to the San Antonio Spurs. This is an A+ draft for the Spurs. If you combine Dylan Harper at 2, which is an A, and Carter Bryant at 14, which is an A in my opinion. He's somebody that has such good 3-and-D potential in this league. I like him more than Essengue, Coward, Demin, Collin, Murray-Boyles, all guys that went ahead of him, because Bryant, in my opinion, can guard multiple positions. He's strong, he's physical, he can get downhill, and he's going to be a great spot-up shooter. And he's going to get so many open looks like he did at Arizona, in San Antonio, playing around Wemby, Harper, Castle, and Fox. This is a match made in heaven and a perfect fit for Carter Bryant's development. It's an easy A. 15, the Oklahoma...
Yeah, I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker so this video is not so long, but Carter Bryant did get like a ton of consistent playing time this year. The Spurs are the 2 seed, and it's really tough when you have like Keldon Johnson, Barnes, Champagne's been a breakout guy for them, Vassell. So there hasn't been like a clear path for Carter Bryant, but I think when he's been out there, he's looked great, and I'm really excited about the long-term defense there as well.
City Thunder took Thomas Sorber, the big man out of Georgetown. He suffered a foot injury that cut his season short for the Hoyas this past season. I got to give it a B+ though. The Thunder had plenty of big man injuries this year. The year they won it all. Chet got hurt. J. Will got hurt. Hartenstein got hurt. J-Dub had to play center at one point. Isaiah Hartenstein with the second apron lumen might not be on this team after the 2026 season, so Thomas Sorber could be a rotational big man for you down the line. He's a good rim protector. I believe the shot could be something at the NBA level, and if Sam Presti likes him, I gotta like him as well. B+ grade. And then,
yeah, unfortunate. Like he tore his ACL shortly after this.
Here is where I had the most shocking reaction, I think, since covering the draft. The Portland Trailblazers, who traded down with Memphis from 11 to 16, right? They pick up that Orlando future first rounder. Thank God they didn't take this guy at 11. They took Hansen Yang from China on the CBA. A interesting league that doesn't have a lot of competition. Scoring is inflated. He was in the summer league last year. He wasn't great, but he had a really good combine. Apparently had a good workout. He's a very crafty big man with high basketball IQ, but he has so much to learn. And Portland drafted a center last year in Donovan Clingan. There's been comps to the Chinese Jokic. Now, if he is, I will eat my words, and I'm okay with that, and he's going to be so much fun to watch in this league. But based on where they got him, I'm giving it an F.
Like I said, thank God they traded down. I don't hand out Fs very often, but I don't think there's a lot of chance for him to grow, at least in Portland right now. Now, Robert Williams is going to be gone. DeAndre Ayton's going to be gone in a year. They have Donovan Clingan for the next 3. Can Yang play with Clingan, or are they just going to go back and forth in minutes? I think he needs to spend time in the G League. I think they could have got him 10 picks later if they wanted to. I'm giving it an F. I really want him to pan out, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I can react to this in 5 years and look like an absolute idiot. But right now, based on how the draft falled out, I have to give it an F. I had him ranked 37th on my big board. Oh my God. What? You gotta be kidding me. No. People were saying that in the chat. I thought they were joking because it's so outlandish. He's not even sitting in the green room. He's in the crowd. Holy shit. Holy shit! Hansen Yang with 16! No way! Portland! Joe Cronin, what are we doing? Oh my God! And then the Minnesota...
No, my reaction for that will never get old. Like, it will never get old. I mean, they recently just got fined because apparently they were scouting Yang like 2 years ago. So a couple of the assistant GMs just got suspended and fined. I mean, basically what I said happened this year, like, was not going to be NBA ready, needed time in the G League. Now, I haven't watched him a ton in the G League this year, so I can't really give a great evaluation on how he's looked. But you always got to take the G League and those numbers with a grain of salt because random guys that are like college legends will average 40. Clingan has looked so good this year. And both those guys are so slow on the perimeter, like you can't play them at the same time. So I don't know if Yang is ever going to be a starter on this rookie contract, unless, knock on wood, like there's an injury for Clingan and knocks him out for some time. I mean, they should re-sign Robert Williams at the end of the year. They bought out DeAndre Ayton. I still don't love the pick. Like I said, I'm really glad they traded down because if they took him at 11, that would have gone like an F- for me. So there's at least like that Orlando 2028 pick to justify it a little bit. But yeah, I still don't get it. I mean, yeah, there's a ceiling upside long term, but imagine this team took like Will Riley or they took another guard. I don't know. There was just better talent available in my opinion.
Timberwolves with the 17th overall pick took Joan Bering from Cedevita over in the Adriatic League. I'm going to give it a C+. Now, they took him to basically be the replacement to Rudy Gobert in a few years. He has a lot of room for growth as well. I would have liked for somebody that can help them next year, and maybe Bering can help them next year, and I just didn't evaluate him properly. But I think he needs to work on his feel around the rim. I think he needs to get more physical inside. I think he needs to do a better job running up and down the floor, finding that motor, not taking plays off. And Minnesota wants to win an NBA title. They were in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. I just can't see Bering playing in the conference finals next year if they're in it. But I could be wrong, and I could look funny giving this a C+.
Yeah, he hasn't really played too much this year, like outside of like Gobert missing some time. I will say though, I think his actually patience and like his feel around the rim has looked so much better than what I thought it was going to be. Like he was great in summer league preseason. I think there was a game where Gobert got suspended where he looked great this year, but there's still like a long-term play, wait and see on that pick.
Utah Jazz traded multiple seconds to trade with Washington to move up 3 spots to select Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida. I assume that maybe Miami really wanted to take him at 20, so they leapfrogged them to take Walter Clayton. I'm going to give this pick a B. I like Clayton as a prospect. There's definitely some other point guards I liked on the board, given who Miami got at 20. I would have given that a lot better of a grade. Clayton, though, elite shooter, needs to work on the defense, not super physical, not super big, but plays very hard, struggles at the rim at times as well, and is going to be just thrown with a bunch of guards there in Utah. Collier, Keontae George, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson for now. I do hope, though, he could play for them. I kind of wanted to see him go to a good team, not a rebuilding team. And
which is still true to this day, and he was included in the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade already.
And the Brooklyn Nets at 19. They already took Egor Demin at 8. They took Nolan Traore at 19. I had Nolan Traore as my 18th ranked prospect. I'm going to give this a B- though, because they just basically took this player at number 8. Who is handling the rock next year between Traore and Demin? They took, well, we'll get to the later picks in a little bit. I'm giving it a B-. I like Traore more than Demin, so I think they got good value here. I just thought there was so many more interesting players on the board, like Kasparas, Jakucionis, who went 20th to the Miami Heat. I'm giving this an A+. Kasparas was my 7th ranked prospect, and he fell into the Miami Heat's lap. He's bigger, more physical, and a better passer than Jeremiah Fears, in my opinion. He can finish at the rim better than Fears. He's a better shooter than Fears, and he's not much older than Jeremiah Fears either. And he ended up going 13 spots later. I had him ranked 4 spots higher on my big board. Incredible value for the Miami Heat. I know they made some questionable decisions over the last few years, but I don't think this is one of them. They're going to make some teams that passed up on Kasparas really regret it in a few years. I'm so high on him as a prospect. And then
we haven't seen like a ton from him this year.
I see the hope. I see the potential there in Miami. I have no idea if like Powell's going to be on this roster next year or Hero, Davion Mitchell. I hope he plays more next year because I do think he can actually be still great value for where they got him. 21, Washington, who traded down with Utah. They went up and got Walter Clayton. They ended up taking Will Riley out of Illinois. So back-to-back Fighting Illini. I'm giving this a B. This is a Will Dawkins type pick, the main decision maker over there in Washington. And I think Riley's going to have a chance to grow in DC. Definitely going to spend some time with the Capital City Go-Go over there on the G League squad. But I think there's some intriguing two-man lineups with him and Keyshawn George and their size and versatility coming off the bench. I do think he's going to be an interesting player year 3 and year 4 of that rookie deal. Definitely going to have some growing pains because if he can't knock down shots, because he didn't do it at an efficient clip last year, he's not really going to be in the NBA for a long time. Well, he's looked great in like the month of March. Like I said, got to keep like grain of salt with the month of March, but still the same question like long term that I said with Trey Johnson. What is his like shot opportunities looking like next year if they add AJ DeBonsa or Darren Peterson or Cameron Boozer? But how can you not play meaningful minutes, but you have him, Bilal, Keyshawn, Trey Johnson? What if you add AJ DeBonsa and Peterson? Like, I wonder how that rotation is going to look.
The Nets had their third first rounder. They took Drake Powell out of UNC. I'm going to give this one a B-. I do think Drake Powell was a little bit of a reach here. I had him ranked a lot lower on my big board, but I wasn't shocked that he went in the first round. I had him mocked in that 26, 27 range to Brooklyn. So this one didn't shock me too much. And at least it's a different type of player, not a point guard here. Somebody that has a crazy wingspan, can guard multiple positions, shot 37% from 3 at UNC last year as a stand in the corner guy. Needs to work on the form a little bit, but I like the upside. That was the definition of the Nets draft. And then here at 23, the Atlanta Hawks, who traded down with the New Orleans Pelicans. They also got Kristaps Porzingis the other day. They had Asa Newell. I like this pick a lot. I'm giving it a B+. I think this is a great fit in Atlanta. I wouldn't have minded this pick if they took Asa at 13. They get him 10 spots later at 23. A great lob threat for Trae Young. I think he's going to be a better shooter at the NBA level than a Derek Queen in this class. And he's somebody that can set screens. And he's going to really develop nicely just playing with Trae Young, one of the best initiators in the NBA. A great spot for a young big. And then
Trae Young got traded like 6 months later.
Here at 24, the Sacramento Kings traded a future protected first-round pick from the San Antonio Spurs to OKC to select Clifford. We didn't really expect OKC to make 2 first-round picks here, given all their depth and financial restrictions right now. I'm giving this an A- for Sacramento. I don't think that pick is going to make them lose any sleep, and there's a little risk to that ever becoming something because it's 1-16 protected for the Spurs in a few years. So if they make the playoffs, hey, it's not the worst pick giving out to OKC. And then it turns into seconds if it's going to be in the lottery. And Clifford's got a little bit of Josh Hart in him. He can crash the glass. He can knock down threes. He can run in transition. I'm a big fan of this. Sacramento did something right. It's an A-. And then Orlando gets Jace Richardson at 25. I knew he was going to fall. Teams are going to be scared of the size. I don't care. It's an A+. Jace Richardson, my 10th ranked player in this class. He is way more physical than he looks. He's got a bigger wingspan than Walter Clayton Jr. He could finish at the rim. One of the best guards in this class, finishing at the rim. A lot better than Jeremiah Fears. You can knock him for the court vision. I don't think he's going to be a true initiator, but he's going to be a good shooter. He's going to be a good scorer. And you throw him out there with Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs or Anthony Black, he's going to be just fine defensively. This is an A+, a perfect fit. I would have loved this for Orlando at 16. They use that pick to get Desmond Bane, and they get a top 10 level talent, in my opinion, at 25. A+ draft for Jeff Waltman and the Orlando Magic. And then
jury's still out on Jace Richardson. I wonder if he's going to have more playing time next year. Orlando has a lot to figure out this offseason. I still saw the potential in him this year, though.
Nets had back-to-back picks here. They had the 26th pick. They took Ben Saraf. Now, I wouldn't mind Ben Saraf here at 26 in a vacuum, but the fact that you already took Egor, Demin, and Nolan Traore, I'm giving this a C. What was the Brooklyn Nets plan? Just draft 3 point guards with international ties and just hope one of them pans out? Now, hey, one of them could be an all-star. These guys do have all-star potential in them, but man, neither of them could shoot. All of them were poor 3-point shooters this past season. The Nets are going to be a fascinating team to watch. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Sean Marks in that front office is trying something completely different over there in Brooklyn. I just feel like they had 5 first-round picks. They shockingly kept all of them, and they didn't really take advantage of all that. Now, they got Danny Wolf at 27. I'm giving this a B+. I do think Danny Wolf is better than the 27th overall pick in a draft. He's so creative with the ball in his hands, and hey, they did take, outside of Drake Powell, a lot of guys that can facilitate, make the extra pass, and run the floor. Wolf, Saraf, Traore, and Demin can all do that. I just don't see how they fit whatsoever. And then the Boston Celtics took Hugo Gonzalez here at
this is probably my worst grade here in this whole video.
28. I'm giving this a D. The Boston Celtics traded away Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. They're taking a flyer on Hugo Gonzalez, who has never been a good shooter overseas in like 5+ years playing at Real Madrid or in Spain. And I just don't think he's going to fit Joe Mazzulla's system whatsoever. Now, he's definitely going to have to spend some time in Maine and develop, and maybe they believe in the shot. But the Celtics have not had very good luck drafting international prospects in the last decade. Just go take a look at it. 29.
Yeah, that was terrible. He's been amazing as a defender. He's been amazing as a complimentary piece for what he is, like early in his professional career. I think it's going to work out long term. And I think when I react to this, when we're at the end of these rookie contracts, I'm going to eat my words a lot on what I just said.
And these Charlotte Hornets are on the board. They got the 29th pick from Phoenix in the Mark Williams trade. They took Liam McNeely. I'm giving this an A-. I think this is great value for Liam McNeely. He played hurt last year at UConn. I think he played out of position. He just looked gassed at the end of the year. I do think, though, he was a little bit overrated at one point. I thought there could have been a chance he was going to go back to UConn. But you just landed Kon Knueppel and Liam McNeely in the same draft class. I think it's just really good value for McNeely. And you landed 2 shooters with elite shooting upside. And then the LA
I should have swapped the Hugo Gonzalez, Liam McNeely picks.
With the 30th overall pick took Yannick Niederhauser, a late draft riser because he killed it at the G League Elite Camp. He gets called up to the combine. The athleticism is on display. Nobody thought at all he was going to be a first-round pick at Penn State this past year. I would have liked Kalkbrenner a little bit more, Maxime Reynau, or how about Rasheer Fleming, who didn't go in the first round. Would have liked him over Niederhauser or Hugo Gonzalez. Definitely Hansen Yang at one point. I'm going to give this pick a B-. I think he could be a fine backup big for the Clippers going forward. Just Rasheer Fleming was on the board. He's basically Derek Jones Jr. for you 2.0. And that is going to be...
All right, well, Niederhauser looked great before the foot injury. I hope he's fine coming off this foot injury, but it's a little scary for somebody that's like a 7-foot-tall big man. But we'll see. Definitely should have been, I think, higher on that pick. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, I appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know if your opinions have changed at all on this draft class over the last year. Do you think I'm going to look like a fool on any of these post-draft night grades, or do you think some of these are going to age extremely well? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.